Till then, if you can quickly post on the chat function at the bottom, which city are you joining in from? So just the name of the city that you're joining from, very quickly at the bottom. Lovely, there are people from Mumbai, Jammu and Kashmir, excited to see you here. Yogita from Indore, wonderful. Delhi, Chandigarh, Nasik, Chennai, Andhra Pradesh, wonderful. So people from across the country are here. Lovely. Welcome everyone once again. We'll wait for a quick minute more till the others join in. We've got about 150 of you here today. We're also streaming this live on YouTube for other people joining in. Welcome to today's session. My name is Paras Vatnani. I'm one of the co-founders here at Seed Global Education. And today's session, we're gonna look at how how certain alumni have built successful careers across the US. So building a specialized career in the US through a specialized master's program. We'll hear from the Career Strategies Center at Brandeis International Business School, as well as from two notable alumni who are currently working in the US and have previously studied in India. With that, we've got about 175 of you here. I'm gonna, just to get a sense of the room, we're gonna run our first poll. So you will see a poll come up on your screen. All you need to do is choose the right answer for you. So which is the most important factor in determining the right graduate program for you? Is it the brand awareness? Is it the career opportunities that you're looking for? Is it the faculty and curriculum that make a difference? Is it the location that you're considering? Is it the ranking that matters? Is it the fees or scholarship? Or is it something else? The idea is to choose the most important factor. We understand all of these are important in that decision-making process, but do choose the one that most signifies with your focus. So which is the most important factor in determining the right graduate program for you? We'll keep it on for a couple of minutes. Wonderful to have you here, Dashmeet from Mumbai. Please respond to the poll that you see on your screen. We're gonna be on for a couple of more seconds. If you choose the one that is most suitable for you, is it brand awareness? Is it career opportunities? Is it faculty and curriculum? Is it location? Is it ranking? Is it fees or scholarships? Or is it something else that matters in your choice to determine the right program for you? Right, with that, we're gonna close the poll. Wonderful. So 66% of you have chosen career opportunities as the key factor. And I'm excited that today's session will hopefully give you more understanding of that. About 14% of you have chosen fees and scholarships. So we understand funding is a key part of that choice as well. Followed by faculty and curriculum. That 7% of you have chosen. And then brand awareness as well as location being a factor for about 3% each of you. Wonderful. So today's session, we will focus on learning more as opportunities across North America have come up. It is important to understand how to navigate your career plans in the US while you plan for your business graduate degree. Today, we've got two alumni and a person, an administration staff from the careers strategies team at Brandeis. They'll take us through what it is to build a career in the US. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce you to Sonia Liang, who is the Associate Director for Career Strategies Center, as well as the MSBA Career Coach at Brandeis International Business School. Sonia, glad to have you here. She joined Brandeis from the Hiatt Career Center with a focus on career coaching for international students and alumni. She actively created strategic partnerships for students through targeted programming, campus outreach, and employee relation efforts, and has spearheaded a series of initiatives at the Hiatt Center for Career Services. So, Sonia, I'll pass on to you at this minute. Talk to us through what Brandeis is doing for students and how they are helping build successful careers.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paras. Very happy to be here to talking to all of you, although I can't see you, but I can feel the enthusiasm in the room. So my name is Sonia Liang, and I'm the Associate Director and MSBA Career Coach, as Paras has talked about. And I just want to share a little bit about the career services, since you all care so much about your career prospects when you study in a graduate program in the US. So let me very quickly get to my slides that I'm going to share. So if no one talked to me, I would just assume that it's working. So first thing that I want to talk about is how the cultural differences between the US career services compared to many other countries. Many students coming from international destinations, they're more used to a placement model, where many of the career services, including us, focus more on career education and also building connections between students, employers, and alumni. So you can see the first thing that we provide to students is the one-to-one career coaching. Every cohort has a designated career coach, and they would be assigned a coach. They would have opportunity to work with this coach and also other coaches and attend a numbers of career educational programs. Before student advice, we already send them out all these communications about assignments they could participate in to help them to develop a solid resume, a US grad school as a resume, and also a numbers of other career skills. And while they can take advantage of all these career consulting, counseling, coaching opportunities, they would also interact with our engagement team. Our engagement team is more managing external relationships, source internship for students, field projects. It's a great way for students to get that hands-on experience working with real data, with real company, and be able to provide consultations and get those experience. So it's like a coursework and internship, but it's more curated within the school. Students also would get access to all these jobs and internship we curated through our partners and alumni. Industry tracks is another features that we offer for students to be able to visit alumni professionals' office and get a feel of what it's actually like to be working in those offices. We used to visit Google and all these like big financial companies like Goldman Sachs and all these different companies in different locations around the US. And in terms of events, students can take advantage of opportunity to connect with alumni through our alumni speaker series, alumni mentor program. There are a number of career fairs and also other recruiting opportunities that could happen during the situation right now, where just like the workshop we're having right now, we definitely expand our offerings into a lot of virtual engagement. So students used to have to like travel different locations to be able to visit all these employers. Now there are opportunities to do everything online. We also offer weekly interview practice, financial coffee chats, and all of these like regular activities that student can participate in. Part is to, like I said, to upskill. Another part is really to build meaningful network and connections to help them to open doors to opportunities. This is a quick kind of glance of the employment data from 2021. Many of you care about the career outcomes, so here's our latest data. So by 2021, we collected the data from last cohort. 94% of our reported active job seekers from our graduate students found a job within 6 months of graduation. And 100% of graduates listed India as their primary citizen, just like all of you here, accepted full-time jobs within 6 months, and 100% of these jobs are located in the US. So our Indian alumni are actually doing really well out there, but also across the board as well. So these only include active job seekers. We also have a number of students go on to pursue entrepreneurship and found their companies, so they're not included here, but they also have really great career outcome beyond the program. Just to give you a handful of examples of what employers will look like that our graduate will go on to pursue their career in. So as you can see, they're all across different industries. Financial industry is definitely the more dominant industry here, but you could see there are other industries, including our alumni today, will represent different industry. We talk about their experience. So just to give you a glimpse of our team, if you're ever apply to our school and get opportunity to enroll, then this is the amazing team that I'm working with. Everyone wants to be here talking to you, share the experience about how great our services are. But I'm representing all of them. So you can see these smiley faces from our coaching team, engagement team, and also department coordinators. So that would be all for my sessions. Just want to hand it over to the next part. Okay, I can stop share. Feel free to ask me any questions. I'll be staying around. So if you have any questions about career services, we can definitely get to them at the end.
Hi, Sonia. I think Paras had some internet issues, so I think he's dropped off the call. He's going to be right back. But at this point, let me also invite Rahul and Aditya, the Brandeis alumni, to talk about their experience, and I'm going to request them to turn on their video. I would also request Kelly to join us. And great, so great to see you all. And I'm going to do the hosting for a bit of this session. Rahul, Aditya, so Sonia has already done her introduction. I know she's an alumnus, plus she runs some parts of the career services, works with the team over there. But Rahul, Aditya, why don't you take us through your Brandeis experience and tell the audience what you're doing currently?
Sure, maybe I can kick it off. So hello, everyone. My name is Rahul 𝗀𝗲𝗂𝗁. I'm originally from Mumbai, India, and currently I'm working at BNP Paribas as a senior analyst in the investment banking group. Prior to I was at BNP, I was at school at Brandeis, where I was for about 2 years pursuing a master's degree in finance. Had a wonderful time there. And before I moved here to the US in fall of 2019, I was working in India for a year in financial services at Vista. And prior to that, I got an undergraduate degree in finance from M.Ed University in Mumbai. So that's a little bit about me. I'll hand it over to Aditya.
Thank you, Rahul. Hello, everyone. So it's so good to connect with fellow Indians, and I've been in the same position which you are in currently. So a bit about myself. I currently work as a senior analyst at Wayfair. And Wayfair is an online furniture store. So basically, people in India would know Pepperfry. So it's just the same thing in US. And so here I just work with customer care agents to help them optimize how they are helping their customers, keeping customer satisfaction as our #1 goal. And before this, I was working at iRobot. It is a robotic vacuum company. And here I was working as a data analyst. And what helped me get all these jobs were my master's degree in Brandeis. I did a master's in business analytics from Brandeis. So this is a bit about my experience in the US, and we can definitely chat more about my past experience later.
Sure. Thanks, Aditya. Thanks, Rahul. Kelly, I'm also going to invite you to introduce yourself. Please tell the audience a little bit about yourself. I'm sure they would be keen to speak with you as well.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to connect with so many of you. If you may have joined one of our previous sessions in partnership with Seed Global Education, you may have had the chance to hear from me as well. My name is 𝗀𝗽𝗲𝗀𝗿𝘀. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions at Brandeis International Business School. I work closely with Sonia in terms of her work in the Career Strategies and Engagement Center. And I have been at Brandeis for about 8 years. My background is in education, and I've worked at various business schools and institutions across the United States. I've had the pleasure of traveling to India on a few occasions, particularly to the area of Mumbai, and have met a number of students at events there, at partnership schools. I have really enjoyed my experiences working with students who are coming from India and are interested in studying. As Sonia has said, students fare very well, enjoy our program, and then obviously do very well in the job market. So certainly as part of the panel and discussion, I know Paras will obviously be fielding many questions for us, but I'm always happy to connect either in this session or certainly on an individual basis afterwards.
Wonderful. Apologies, everyone, for a quick loss of internet. In this tech-driven world, sometimes it fails you as well. So my apologies, and thank you, Kelly, for the kind introduction. I'm not sure if Aditya and Rahul have had a chance to introduce, but okay, they have. Wonderful. So let me kick off with my first question here, and we're about 300 of us here in the in terms of the audience here. So please, for all of you joining in, please do post your questions that you may have in the Q&A chatbot at the bottom of your screen. I will try and take as many questions as we can through the course of the next 30 to 40 minutes. The tab is right at the bottom of your screen. First up, Rahul, Aditya, pleasure to have you both. I'll put a question to you both. When you were starting to consider studying in the US, we saw in the polls nearly 65 to 66% of people said career was a major choice or factor in making that choice. What was going through your mind when you made that choice as well? So Rahul, I'll come to you first.
Sure. So I think your poll was pretty comprehensive and kind of covered what every student kind of thinks about, but I kind of go with the consensus about thinking about career outcomes as my number one priority. I was considering doing a master's to move into investment banking. So for me, career outcomes was most important. But there are, of course, several other things that you need to keep in mind while thinking about a master's degree. So some other things that I considered was being close to a major financial center and a major city, cost of education, scholarship, financial aid. Those things were important to me. And looking at where alumni have gone from the school. So just going on LinkedIn, seeing where students just like me from India moved to the US a couple of years earlier, what they are doing now, 2-3 years down the line. Those were some of the most important things that I looked at, but also some nice things about Brandeis being a small school. So coming from India, I was always used to having 100, 150 kids in the same classroom with the professor never knowing my name. But here, Brandeis is a relatively smaller school. So those small class sizes was appealing. And lastly, I mean, the faculty. The fact that Brandeis was close to a major financial center, I was able to study from professors who are actively working as leading professionals in the industry. That was very appealing to me.
Fantastic. Aditya, how was your decision-making process?
So I mean, like, I think when I was looking for colleges, like, first thing that you do is you go to a consultant and you're like, what colleges can I know? And one thing I want to say is US has many good colleges, which no one in India has any idea about. And Brandeis is one of such great colleges that I would personally say in hindsight. And I'm glad I came to know about it through my counselor, but definitely it is a good option one should consider. And yeah, I think during that time, one of the things also is okay, you will be spending so much money coming to the US and settling in and getting the education. So career aspect is definitely a big thing. One thing which I learned, or everyone told me after I started to search for colleges, speaking to different people in the US who have done a similar course, and they were like, if you work like comparatively hard enough, which in general we are so used to in our educational career or professional career in India, if you work relatively hard enough, you will definitely end up with a job. And I think I'll just say the same thing that like, as the results show, how Sonia showed, like 100% of the students from India got a job in 6 months. And like that even happened in my entire friend circle. I know everyone currently has a job, and most likely in a company which someone has heard about. So I mean, that's just a good feat in itself. So yeah, I mean, that's what was going through my mind during that time.
Yeah, and I must say, Kelly, Sonia, this is a great feat. So congratulations on maintaining and building such a strong outcome-based approach for candidates that come to Brandeis. Rahul, I'll bring the next question to you here. So yes, and Sonia spoke about how from an institutional perspective they help. I'm going to go head on and ask you, as a student who went to Brandeis, and Aditya, I'll ask you the same question as well. For both of you, when you were in class and pursuing the program, what different kind of opportunities that you have that helped you feel that, yes, you are going to be career ready when you graduate?
There were like a couple of things that kind of made me feel ready. Maybe I'll talk a little about my career coach. So the MSF career coach is Jennifer Waldens. She herself studied at Columbia University, got an MBA. She was a trader on Wall Street. And then at a later end of her career, for better work-life balance and some other reasons, she's moved into this space. And the fact that my career coach had herself worked on Wall Street, been inside the door, knew how recruiting works, knew how the system works, I kind of felt very good about an insider, like being there to like guide me, which was one of the things that really stood out.
Wonderful. Aditya, what was your experience like?
Do you mind repeating the question? I'm just trying to.
Sure. So, we heard from Sonia of what, from an institutional perspective, they do to help students who are studying at Brandeis. But from you, from your first-hand experience, what were the things or opportunities that you had while you were at university to feel that you're going to be career ready at graduation?
Okay. So I think one thing which is a big difference in working in India and working in the US was, in India, I was working only with Indians. So there is no language barrier, there is no culture barrier. So it makes it really easy to blend in. And in the US, that was different. Like, I'm now working with people from different nationalities and different culture. So Brandeis helped me get into that soon, because like almost all the classes had a team project. So like working with people from different nationalities just help us get into the groove, what we'll be, how we'll be working in the future. So I think that is one of the main things which has helped me with my career as well.
That's a wonderful point. And I think, I'd just like to take a quick second to emphasize a bit more on that. I think when people go to the US or, study abroad in broader context, one of the things from an education perspective that's very different is the whole idea of bringing groups together. So projects, even you're graded in a similar capacity. From a mindset perspective, that's very different. And that allows you to first respect and understand how other cultures work, and then also bring the best of ideas from everywhere together. So I think from a studying abroad perspective, from a broader sense as well, this is something that's really useful, and one should keep that in mind when you start considering studying abroad. Aditya, on a similar point, I'll pose the next question to you. Did you spoke about the cultural nuances that you learned. Were you able to also meet alumni on campus when you were there to just understand more from their experiences too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I came, the seniors did have, I think, six months or more to still graduate. So we definitely had a good time. Like just to tell you how everyone was welcoming was they had hosted a party for all the freshers, and we all got to meet them. And then we have this, like, we call it the cluster area at Brandeis, where everyone just sits even when there are no lectures going on, either in between lectures or after lectures. And that just, like, you end up talking to different people and hanging out with everyone. So you form a good bond. Like I'm still in touch with many of the seniors. So yeah, I definitely met them.
Wonderful. Rahul, another rapid fire sort of question for you. When we spoke, we learned from Aditya about the alumni side, but when it came to recruiters, were there opportunities that you had while you were in the program to understand how you could potentially interview better with potential recruiters as well?
Sure. So let me just highlight one key thing that Brandeis does. So we have these industry treks at Brandeis that basically take us, like, there are like multiple treks based on what you want to specialize. So if you want to specialize in, say, data analytics like Aditya, or consulting, investment banking, accounting, no matter what you want to do, Brandeis will partner with alumni at these companies, and they organize industry treks. So while I was at Brandeis, I think few months after I joined, I was able to come down from Waltham, Massachusetts to New York City. And I was able to go inside the offices of Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, to name a few, and some very large finance companies, talk to Brandeis alumni, and talk to recruiters at these companies face to face, in person. This was before COVID hit. And I was able to learn from them what they really look at when they make these recruitment decisions. And given that they had success with Brandeis alumni, the entire point of this event and the conversation was to help us. So they would put up an hour presentation to talk about key tips, what to keep in mind, how to basically tackle certain stages of the interview. So we were able to go inside their offices, meet their people, and learn on how to break in, which was an excellent opportunity.
Great. I want to remind the audience here, please take the opportunity to post any questions that you have for the staff at Brandeis or Rahul and Aditya into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. In a couple of minutes, I will start taking some questions from there as well. Sonia, Rahul touched on a very important aspect that a lot of students today think about in what we so call the post-COVID era, or hopefully so at least. What do you think, what were the changes that Brandeis brought into effect over the last 2 years that helped candidates get into the right roles? And also, which of those additional support quotients continue to be offered to students going forward?
Yes, thank you. That's a really good point. I think we've definitely seen not only kind of how like COVID impact, the world, as I mentioned, like a lot of career education programs, we started to offer them through virtual platforms, and also recruiting opportunities are moving into that directions. So many recruiters already said like they are not, planning on a lot of major trips, right? All they want to do is to focus on maximizing more of their online platform. And we have all these very close touch with our best partners out there, employee partners, alumni partners. So all they're saying are very similar. So we're trying to just adapt to what's happening at the recruiting scene. And at the same time, they're able to recruit more diverse students through maximizing their online platforms as well. Typically, international students often have this challenges of navigating small talk, right? You have to like have all these series of small talk until you sit down and have that interview. I think the virtual platform definitely eliminates some of these barriers that we're seeing. So what we're doing is we continue to bring in alumni, have virtual communication. So a lot of these big name alumni who typically cannot make, a day out of their time to travel from New York to Boston, like Rahul is an example, we would otherwise won't be able to have him on campus to speak, but we're able to do that if we're doing it through the virtual platform. And the same with recruiters as well. So we're having a lot of these major top companies. They are also hosting their own info sessions. So they used to be hosting it in major city, major central location, and now they're extending that and posting it directly with Brandeis, among other schools. So our student would be able to participate that and get the firsthand in communication and information from those recruiters as well.
Fantastic. Raul, I'll bring the next question to you here. And I want to dig, as somebody who studied abroad, I won't tell you how long ago, but there were several questions when I started thinking about study abroad. And I'm sure you guys went through a lot of similar sort of thinking as well. But tell us, when you chose your specialization, what was important to you? Like, why did you go towards the MSF? And Aditya, similarly, how did you choose the MSBA?
Sure. So it was a little black and white for me. I got an undergraduate degree in finance. And I basically wanted to kind of develop and build on that skill set, take it to an advanced level. And that's how, and I also worked in finance. So I was very sure about what I was doing, and I wanted to basically transition to high finance, to investment banking. So it was very clear that I want to get a degree in finance. Now, in my situation, in terms of like options, there are two types of masters, two types of finance degrees that you can do after getting an undergraduate degree. And you can either do an MBA in finance, or you could do a master's degree in finance. I wanted it to be more specialized and more focused towards finance courses. That was one of the reasons why I kind of drove towards the MSF. Also, I was a lot early in my career. I just had 1 year of work experience. So the master's degree was much better suited, given like it would accept kids, and like most students here would have like less than 2 years of work experience, I would say. So that kind of made it a better fit for me.
Wonderful. And I think that's a very important aspect for many of you listening in. If you do not have schools today accept pre-experience or have programs that accept pre-experienced candidates as well. So not to say that, that is not an option, but when you start digging deeper, look at the class profile that you are going to become a part of. If there are people with more experience, which certain MBA programs will have, then it's probably better to either wait out to get some work experience on ground and then consider a program. Or like what Rahul mentioned, if you want to go into a niche or a specialization, then probably choosing a specialized master's is the right choice for you. Aditya, similarly, how did you get to the MSBA? And if I can add one bit to the question, did that become a factor in the industry that you chose to work in going forward?
Okay. So I did my bachelor's in actuarial science, and then I worked for around 3 years in the insurance industry. And at that time, like fortunately or unfortunately, I got to work with data a lot. I mean, during that time, it was not that fortunate, but now I feel it was a good thing in hindsight. So I got to work with a lot of data, and I ended up really liking it. So I was like, what do I do as my next step to improve my skills or to have better opportunities? And US at that moment came in mind, and I thought like I could do a master's degree. And the option was between choosing data analytics or business analytics. Personally, I felt that doing data analytics could get very tech heavy, which I didn't want to pursue. I wanted to do more a good mix of business and data. which I would say the MSBA curriculum provides. Like, the curriculum was perfect as to how I wanted it to be, a good balance of both tech and business analysis. So that is what helped me in choosing my degree. And in terms of your second question about the where I worked, like my industry, I think business analytics is such a field, like you can really choose any industry. So that really didn't put a barrier to my industry, but it really helped me expand my barrier, if anything. Like the only criteria I had was I didn't want to work in an insurance company, since I wanted different experience. I already worked there for a long time. So I think the course definitely helped me with that.
Wonderful. And at that point, I mean, thank you, Aditya, for that. Kelly, I'll bring you in at this. There are some questions around the eligibility as well. As both Rahul and Aditya mentioned about their backgrounds. There's a question saying, in terms of the degree, number of years in your undergraduate degree. So there are two questions around on this. One from Harshal and one from Pranishta, who've spoken about the Master's in Finance and a 3-year degree versus a 4-year, which is a norm normally. So if you want to just quickly emphasize on that.
Yeah, so thank you. We do consider most 3-year Indian degrees to be equivalent to a US bachelor's degree. Typically, we're looking at the NAAC accreditation in India. And so we're looking for schools that are accredited at an A level. So as long as University of Mumbai, for example. So certainly if you go to a school that is 3 years and has the accreditation, we will take just the 3-year degree. So yeah, and in regards to the MSF and MSBA, certainly in terms of prep, there is no specific, obviously Rahul studied, finance at the undergraduate degree, but obviously Aditya did an actuarial science. And so there is not a specific degree that we're looking for. For preparation for the MSF, we're just looking for students to have a core foundational course in finance. So something like a financial management or a corporate finance, as well as an advanced quantitative course. So typically statistics or calculus, linear algebra, something like that. And then for the MSBA, the only foundational work you need is in statistics. And so, another thing that I think students often wonder is if they have to come in already with, programming languages and things like that. And the answer is no. I mean, I'm sure as Aditya can attest, we're teaching students those skills at Brandeis. So as long as you're coming in with some foundation in statistics, you're prepared for the programs.
Just to add on to what Kelly mentioned, like, she mentioned the University of Mumbai, which is probably like many people go to that. So my degree was from YCMOU. It is an open university. People in India might know about it. So even that was accepted at Brandeis, which I felt was really nice. Like they acknowledge the fact that I have done actual science and not just like which university I'm doing it from or what the university is. So I think, that was really nice on Brandeis' part.
Wonderful. And if I can take a quick second to tell everybody, one of the things that this process brings to you, or hopefully today's session also helps you with, is to connect with the school directly. There is both Kelly and Sonia, I'm sure, will be more than happy to for you to write to them, ask them any other questions in the future that you have too, and attend sessions like these, because they help you, one, present yourself or ask questions that are around your profile to the school, but also makes the school understand what you're looking at. So, please, I would heavily encourage you to get in touch with the school when required, when you have questions. It is as much a choice that you are making, that they're making, that you are making. And by that, I mean, while the school is choosing you to admit you into a program, it is also your choice that you're going to that school. So, make the most of this opportunity. Rahul, I'll bring the next question to you here. From what we've discussed so far, as a quick summary for some people that have just joined in, you studied undergrad with finance, you chose the MSF at grad level, you currently work in the industry of your choice as well. In this whole process, if you were to go back and think about one thing that you would do differently today, what would that be?
Now that's a tricky question. I don't know. I mean, one thing that I would do differently, I mean, like for me, it was a little different than normal times because I did some part of my education online. So given a chance to do something differently, I would go back and do the semester that I did online in person. Um, Needless to say, I mean, like my experience online was also great. Times have changed now, we're back in person. Um, but having that connect in person was wonderful. I did that for a while. And yeah, that is one thing that I would definitely change. Maybe not too relevant for our platform today, but I don't know. I mean, my journey was great. I kind of achieved and got what I wanted out of it. So
Sure.
there's not much that I want to highlight there.
Perfect. Aditya, a similar question for you. If you were to look back from the experience you've had and say one thing you would do differently, what would that be?
To be honest, like right now, I was just thinking about the same thing that Rahul mentioned, and I think probably all of my batch would be thinking the same thing. Like if we could just go back sometime and not do the online thing and just continue it in person. But since that can't happen, I think one thing what I would really want to change is start everything slightly earlier. Like for example, looking for a job, start a bit earlier. If you're deciding on a college, start a bit earlier for that. I mean, Brandeis helps in that way that if I was on my own, I would probably start my resume like 3-4 months before I started my job search. But while coming to Brandeis, we had to get our resume ready before we got into Brandeis. So, I mean, just doing things earlier definitely helps. Like even networking, many people have the perspective, okay, I need a job. Now I'll start networking. But I mean, the network knows that. So just do it when you genuinely want to know about it. So start a year earlier. So just starting everything earlier really helps you.
That's a great tip, and something that we encourage students to do as well. Have conversations, speak to alums like Aditya, Rahul, and also one other thing I would add, and I think Rahul mentioned this before. Go onto LinkedIn and look at roles that you think you want to aspire for in the future, because that gives you an understanding of the journey that others have had. And at that point, talk to the school and ask them, hey, maybe my journey is slightly different to this person. What are my optics like? Right? And the schools will be, while there's no guarantee, I know there was a question on the Q&A as well, which I'll indirectly answer here. While there is no guarantee of a certain job being, for every person to get an exact job, the effort you take is all, towards that direction. Sonia, I'll bring the next question to you here quickly. Similar on the trend of the person that asked about the guarantee of a job. I know Brandeis is doing everything in its power to ensure that there is 100% success rate. Is there something that you would tell candidates as a tip when they're precautious rather before they make this decision to study abroad purely because of the job fear?
Yeah, absolutely. I used to put like this magic wand on my pen holder, and people come in and want a job. I'll be like, well, I'll give you one. I wish it's that easy. But just like the two alumni have said that, it provided a platform, you still have to work hard towards it. Even, sometimes students always ask us like what kind of relationship we have with employers and recruiters. And I said, yeah, we have all these amazing relationships, but it's our relationship. It's not your relationship, right? So you still have to go in front of alumni or in front of recruiters to build your own relationship so they feel like they could hire you. So that's what we've been trying to educate students, is really to focus on, get yourself exposed to opportunities. Like Rahul had participated in the New York industry track. That was a great exposure. It let you see inside of the bank of a consulting firm of how it operates. But at the same time, we also focus on providing these educational skills like what Aditya is talking about, like starting everything earlier to acquire those skills. You can't just start to write your resume when you need a job, right? Because from the time you write a resume, rewrite it, edit it, modify it, apply for positions, ready for interview, it's a process. So you really need to take that into account and plan it out, map it out from the beginning. But luckily for us, I think we really try to instill that preparation early on. So we have this course called Launching Your Global Career, and every new students are required to take. So unlike taking a workshop here and there, they have this systematic education from the first day they start a program. So they would learn all the career skills they need. They will learn, in my class particularly, I would talk about how the US recruiting landscape looks like, how the MSBA data analytics job opportunities are, how do you uncover those opportunities, how do you develop those skills to acquire these opportunities. So that's what we're focusing on.
Wonderful. Kelly, I'll bring you the next question, and something that a lot of people will think about when they think about jobs in the US as well is visas. Talk us through the STEM designated programs and how it works for students coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sonia can certainly comment, I'm sure, as well. But yeah, so one of the important things that you may be considering, I think, if you are coming, from India and you are looking to potentially work in the US, one of the key differentiators in a US sort of graduate school market can be the STEM designation. Our master's programs, as well as concentrations within the MBA, offer this STEM designation. And what that means, if you're less familiar, is that the curriculum is such that it prepares you in more skilled and highly technical areas that are in demand in the US job market. And so as such, whereas a student would typically on a student visa have the opportunity to get a year of work authorization in the US, if you graduate from one of Brandeis's STEM designated programs, it actually allows you to take advantage of an additional 2-year extension. So you have this option of actually getting 3 years of work authorization in the US. And this, really comes into play, and I'll certainly turn it over to Sonia in a minute to comment on kind of the employer perspective. But I think this is key for, students as well as employers to really invest in this experience. I think it's much more attractive to employers to obviously have this experience with students and to know that they can potentially have this 3-year work experience with the student. And so STEM designation, I know, has been very key. Certainly in the visa process, we have an extremely high visa acceptance rate. The thing is that Brandeis is a very well-known, highly ranked institution in the US, and these programs are, being the STEM designation, there is this level of expertise that's sort of understood. And so from a visa perspective, I think students often are concerned, and I have conversations with Indian students about whether their visa will be denied. We don't have that experience as much because these are students that are preparing and going to a program that is already well and highly regarded. So Sonia, do you want to talk a little bit about the employer side of that?
Sure. If any of you are monitoring the US government's approach, you would notice that there's definitely a lot of emphasis on building the capacity for STEM talent recruitment. So there's some legislations in the work and try to make STEM more appealing to international students. So in the long run, it's definitely going to be really favorable visa options by a lot of employers. So not only they add to the expertise aspects, but also, let me just say that not every business school had that STEM destination. So this definitely would allow us to be kind of like the hybrid talent that could be very savvy in business, but at the same time have those technical skills that could provide to the employers, and also allow them to, the next step to look into work visa, they will be able to submit for HBA lottery in like 3 years if they started their employment immediately after graduation. So that's kind of the benefit of it. But it kind of get more technical later in the end. But just knowing we have Brandeis International Business School in the name for international is because we're all very familiar with all this, how work with international talents, but at the same time, how to support our international students to go through, to navigate all these challenges in terms of visa regulations and present them as international candidates. We have multiple workshops focused on this topic, so students will feel supported along the way.
Wonderful. Aditya, Rahul, I'll come back to you in just a minute. Kelly, one more question for you, but just before that, for the audience listening in, if you have other questions that we're not covering yet that you'd like to ask, please post them in the Q&A chat box at the bottom, and we'll try and cover as many as we can over the next 10 minutes. Kelly, there have been some requests that we've gotten online through our YouTube live as well, asking about the different programs available at Brandeis. So if you want to, in a quick minute, talk about the programs and just the eligibility criteria for them.
Sure. So we offer 4 master's level degrees at Brandeis International Business School. We obviously have alumni featured from 2 of them. So I'll start with those. The Master of Science in Finance is a 16-month program. So students actually start in the fall and move through the program over 16 months. It provides a great opportunity in the summer between their first and second year to do an internship or a field project, serve in a consulting role. The MSF is, again, looking for foundational finance, statistics, and students can choose concentrations in that area in everything from corporate finance and valuation to asset management, risk management. There's a lot of options within that field to get even more specialized within the finance industry. Master of Science in Business Analytics, which Aditya did, that is a program that can be completed at an accelerated pace of just 1 year. But most students will opt to do the 16-month version as well. So they have that time for that full-time internship experience as well. Again, looking for students who minimally have a statistics undergrad course. So just 1 course in statistics in order to be prepared for that program. Master of Arts in International Economics and Finance is our 3rd degree. It's a little bit broader of a specialized master's degree because the core areas are in both economics and finance. And then the electives are offered in a range of areas. So those you can focus more in analytics if you wish, more in finance, more in economics. You could also do marketing or real estate. So that's going to be a little bit broader of a program. And as such, that's a 2-year program that starts in the fall. So you actually move through the program over 2 full academic years. Lastly is the MBA. We offer an MBA with a number of, again, distinct concentrations in everything from analytics to finance to strategy and innovation, which is looking sort of at entrepreneurial experiences. Similarly, real estate. Our MBA, like, again, most in the US, are looking, ideally for students who have come in with some work experience. On average, our MBA students are coming in with anywhere from 4 to 7 years of experience on average. But we're typically looking for candidates that have at least 2 years full-time work experience. And so, we will consider students slightly earlier in the career if they have a significant internship experience and some full-time experience. But as we kind of alluded to earlier in the session, I do think that students who are in the earlier stages of their career may find that a specialized degree in an area where we're looking for students that are maybe in the earlier stages, may be a better fit. We do also have a couple of dual degree options. So if you actually find your interests are varied, you can actually combine the MSF and MBA, the MSBA and the MBA, or the MA and the MSBA. So there's a lot of different combinations within the program, anywhere from about 16 months to 2 years.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Kelly. And one more question, and then I'll go back to Rahul and Aditya as well. In terms of funding, a question that the poll showed as well. Do you want to throw some light on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the nice part of the process with us is that we automatically consider every applicant to Brandeis for our merit scholarships. So there is not a separate application process that you have to go through in order to get considered for our funding. As soon as you apply, the same, characteristics that we're looking for in terms of a good fit for the program are those that we're also considering for the merit pool. Scholarships range anywhere from a few $1,000s up to full tuition. Obviously, as you can imagine, the full tuition awards are much more limited. We only do have a handful of those available each year, but we are considering students for such a wide range of awards that we do try to offer quite a competitive package. Students are told about any scholarships right away in their admission offer, so they also have time to kind of think through and decide on both admission and the scholarship side. Some students might also decide to take out loans. So there are, I know, loans obviously in India that students can secure, but we do also have some international loan providers that we work with at Brandeis that allows international students to get US loans without a co-signer in the US, so they can be available to international students. And I know that has been a great resource for students as well.
Wonderful. One quick poll out here for all the students listening in. You'll see a poll come up on your screen in just a second. Now that you've heard about the programs, you've learned about career opportunities, which is one of the biggest areas of decision making. We'd love to learn, which year do you intend to start your master's program? Is it 2022? Is it 23? Is it 24? Or are you currently undecided? Which year do you plan to pursue your master's program in? Is it 2022, 23, 24, or are you undecided? It'll take a quick second if you can just click on the choice that most resonates with you and submit. We'll, in about 10 seconds, we'll close the poll and see what kind of spectrum we're on today. Which year do you intend to start your master's program? Is it 22, 23, 24, or are you currently undecided? Great, we'll close the poll now and let's see what the results look like. Wonderful, so there's about close to 40% looking at starting in 2023, about 25% who are considering 2022. So it's good timing, it's probably apt that you get started soon. There's about 12% looking at 2024 and about 25% who are currently undecided with which year they would want to go with. I want to come back to you, Aditya and Rahul, but Kelly, do you want to quickly mention about the application fee waiver that students will get as a part of this session?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're delighted that so many students were able to join us today. And one of the great benefits to that is if you do decide to consider Brandeis, we will be providing students who attended this session an application to receive a fee waiver. And so if students decide to apply to Brandeis, they will save that $150 application fee. So after the session, we'll be in touch with more information. And one of the first follow-ups you'll receive is the chance for this application fee waiver.
Wonderful, and we heavily encourage anybody who's interested to apply to the program to apply early, like Aditya mentioned earlier as well, and make use of this application fee waiver that you are getting access to. Rahul, Aditya, back with you both. Rahul, first question for you. When you now are building a successful career out of New York, what are ways in which you now as an alumnus we're glad you're here today for sure. But are there other ways that students can reach you to understand and learn about your experiences too?
Sure. So I'm very active on LinkedIn, and current students, prospective students actively reach out to me for like small 10-minute conversations to know more about me, my experience at Brandeis. I'm happy to do that. And I think in general, this is one different thing about the US versus India. People are really willing to help and have short conversations, even with strangers. And it's actually highly encouraged. So I personally have reached out to so many Brandeis alumni when I was looking for a job, and the response rate was pretty high. And people are willing, for example, everyone on this platform today who's spectating, I was in their shoes a couple of years ago. So people understand that, and that kind of motivates them to help and give back. And that's very common. That's not just Brandeis. I think it's a part of the US culture, and students will see that across schools.
Wonderful. Aditya, for you, you've chosen an industry or a space that a lot of people today in India will aspire or think to work in. What would your advice be as as they consider these exciting new opportunities coming as well?
So I mean, in terms of firstly, like connecting, I would say, like as Rahul mentioned, LinkedIn is one of the best ways. And so yeah, that is one of the best ways. And in terms of advice regarding how to get into this career, is that
correct? Just robotics and this whole segment of AI, ML is something that so many people today are really keen on. What would you say, when they start looking at this, what are things to consider?
So definitely one thing I would say is like there is a lot of material online for the same, but it's just a college or any college, in fact, like just adds the structure to it and gives proper guidance. Like it's a problem that there is just too much information online, so you don't really know like what to really look into. So that is what a college helps in achieving. So I would just say, like, get some background on the things that you want to learn. For example, if you want to learn SQL, if you want to learn Python, just get a brief background on it online. You can get it through any courses, and then when you come to the college, like it, even though you don't need it, it will probably just help you understanding things in a much better and faster way. So yeah, as like I think LinkedIn is how do I say this? Like LinkedIn is much more greater than what it is, what everyone says it is. Like everyone makes fun of it, sort of, oh, LinkedIn and everything. But I would say like it really is a helpful tool if you use it correctly. So yeah, just go on LinkedIn, talk to people, and like that is the one advice that you will keep on hearing for the entire time you are in the US. But it is a true advice. So just keep on doing that.
Wonderful.
And maybe I can add, if you don't mind.
Please.
I mean, like I would strongly encourage everyone, and this is not just for Brandeis, but any school that you're trying to go on LinkedIn and fact check what the career services is saying. When someone is telling you that this is the percentage of kids that have got a job, go in and look at it. So, and I would encourage you to look at people who were similar to you. So for example, if you go and fact check Brandeis, go and check Indian students at Brandeis, whoever enrolled in the last 5 years, and see where they are. You will get your answer and you will know what the facts are and if the numbers are true or no. And this is applicable to every school. I would encourage you to do that.
That's good advice. Thank you, Rahul. And Sonia, coming to you with this, as candidates are thinking about preparing for grad school and career being a key choice, is there one leaving sort of message and advice you would want to give students?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say that, like, prepare in advance. I see a lot of you are thinking about a future enrollment cycle, but regardless when you're planning to study abroad, definitely think about all the like in addition to logistics, like kind of where beyond that journey, right? Where you're going, because grad school is a pathway, is a bridge to get to your destination. So it's definitely important to think about the career outcome, think about what kind of career you want to get into. Although in business school, we typically see more mature candidates, but once in a while where we have applicants come through that are not very sure why they're in this program. And it comes through the application. And that's what we're reading for, is whether you're really mentally prepared and also academically, professionally prepared for the program as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sonia. Kelly, similar question for you.
Sure. Yeah, I would say, definitely going back to, I think what Paris and others had talked about is that, this is, as Sonia said, a huge investment of your, this is an experience that is really propelling your career forward, but it is both a professional investment as well as a personal investment. And you can't do enough research to kind of determine if this is the right fit for you. I think, as Par said, we're looking obviously to see if you're the right fit for us, but you want to feel very comfortable having spoken to members of the community, whether that's, colleagues like Sonia and I, but certainly current students, alumni, as the alum said, reach out on LinkedIn, kind of learn more about the Brandeis community. Every school's community is going to be very unique. Ours is an extraordinary community. It's an extremely personalized community, which you don't find at a lot of business schools. And the size of our program may be an excellent fit for some students, and it may not be as strong of a fit for others. And that's okay. And I think you want to spend the time, really deciding on the most important factors for you in a match for a school, and take the time to find that right school.
Wonderful. I'll bring you one more question, which has come in, which is around rankings. And Kelly mentioned about Brandeis being ranked as a good school as well. But what was ranking a factor in your decision-making journey when you chose to go to Brandeis?
So one thing I realized during my counseling sessions and like understanding different colleges was like ranking is very relative. It is very different for each and every agency who does rankings. And in terms of rankings, the ranking could be very degree specific. Like MSF in Brandeis could be a highly rated degree. MSBA in Brandeis could be a highly rated degree, or the Brandeis University could be a highly rated college. So one thing I realized was, personally for me, I realized I was not getting into Harvard and MIT. I was not getting into that. I sort of accepted it. So now ranking didn't make much of a difference to me really, because it could be different for anyone, and it's just what you Google. If you Google, is Brandeis a good college, you'll get good results for that. If you search Brandeis is a bad college, you'll get results for that. So it's just about understanding the curriculum, going through it, and you like the curriculum. One good thing that I came to know after I came here was you could even take a guest lecture. Like you could go to a lecture and just attend it before even enrolling for that college. So you could do that if you like the professors. Just search the professor on LinkedIn, see his experience. Do you like it? And if you really like a course, like there is one course which you really look forward to, take a practice class for that, and you'll know if you'll enjoy it or not. So I feel just those, decide on your factors rather than the ranking. Your career, how good, as Rahul mentioned, see how the alumni are doing. Okay, then the career aspect, a check on that. You like the curriculum, a check on that. And you like the city. I think that is also a good consideration. So if you like the city, it is like 20 minutes from Boston. So a good check on that. So just check your things that you want in your college rather than going for the rankings.
Yeah, thank you. And Sonia has made a very, very interesting and important comment as well. Employers don't look for rankings when they hire you. They probably understand your skill set with interviewing you and getting to know you better. And I will attest to that, having worked with an rankings agency for over a decade. Rankings can be a good start point to your search, but never a place where you should finish. It's something we always told potential candidates applying to business school. Rahul, I'll bring the last question to you before we close the day. When today, candidates are thinking about building careers in the US, you both are great exemplary examples for students considering that. One tip that you want to leave students with today, if they are in that thought process that you were a while back.
Yep. I would echo on what Aditya said, prepare early, and also like what Sonia and Kelly said, be vocal, talk to people. No question is really a silly question. Just don't be hesitant, and just don't go on what your friends said or what your relatives said. Go out there and ask the school any question that you have. There are designated people at the university just to answer your questions. So take all your questions and clear it with the school. Like, for example, the 3-year degree question that came up, that was a hesitation to me. And I happened to have met someone from Brandeis at an event, and that's when I cleared it, even though I knew someone who told me, oh no, Brandeis will only take 4 years of education. There's no way you can get in. There are a lot of rumors. A lot of people say a lot of things, but it's always best to go to a school, ask all your questions, and come to a conclusion. So yeah, and like, I can't emphasize enough. It's really, really, really important to do things in advance in this sort of American context. For an example, like Aditya said, everything starts early. You don't make your resume when you need the job. You make and prepare for it in advance. So planning would also be an important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, that's something that I want to highlight.
Wonderful. No, thank you. Thank you for that. And one comment I want to leave everybody with today, we're nearly at the 80-minute mark, and there's still about 150 of you here. So thank you for being so patient and being with us today. And look at a specialized master's or an MBA, or the idea of studying abroad as an investment into your future. It is definitely something that pays off over time. Personally and professionally, you'll make several friends, colleagues, and acquaintances that all come into effect in due time through your career. With that, firstly, thank you to the lovely panelists for being here with us today. Aditya, Rahul, thank you for taking time. Sonia, Kelly, always a pleasure to have you guys with us as well. And then lastly, to all the students who are still here, we hope today's session helped you understand a bit more about how Brandeis helps candidates, and how it is to build a career with a specialized master's in the US. All the very best, and good luck with all your choices in the future. Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much.